Hello everyone, welcome to Module 5. In this module we are looking at English language learners. We are going to look at how to teach English language learners. We are going to study a specific approach called SIOP, which stands for Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol. And before we start talking about SIOP, let's talk about English language learners. There is some old terminology about this that you may have heard. One thing, children who are referred to as English language learners now were referred to as either language minority students in the past or students with limited English proficiency. They were called LEP, and because of the word limited and proficiency, etc., because it's a negative term, LEP is not used anymore. ESOL is one of those acronyms that is used commonly, which stands for English for Speakers of Other Languages. Ultimately, we are talking about children who come to the United States with English that may or may not be enough for success in schools. Now, English proficiency is something that you should not see it as, you either have it or you don't have it. Children will have English proficiency on a continuum. You may have immigrant children, for example, who arrive in the United States speaking quite some English and able to use English for schoolwork, and you may have students who come to your classroom absolutely no English. So there may be a zero English child all the way to almost a fully proficient child. So children are on a continuum, and and a Canadian educator named Jim Cummins, he studied English proficiency in children, and he came up with two different stages of English proficiency. He said when children start learning English or a second language, the first level of proficiency they develop is called Basic Interpersonal Communication Skills, BICS, B-I-C-S, Basic Interpersonal Communication Skills. You can look at it as social language also. Children can carry out conversations on the playground. They can understand, simple commands from teacher. But this type of proficiency is not high enough to help children be successful in school. This type of proficiency is very context specific. Children have to refer to the context to understand what people are saying. The second level of proficiency he talked about is called Cognitive Academic Language Proficiency, CALP, C-A-L-P. And this is the type of proficiency you need to be successful in school. If you have developed this level of proficiency, you are able to read and understand. You can summarize information. You can actually synthesize information or analyze information. You can use language for school success. And at this level, you can, if you're old enough, you can understand abstract concepts also, because at this level you're not very context dependent. You can understand things even if things are not on a context. But while we're talking about this, one thing to keep in mind is that children may develop social language quite fast, and that may fool teachers easily. When you see a child carrying out a conversation about a basketball game or a football game they're playing on the playground, you may think that, oh yeah, this child got it. That actually doesn't happen easily. English proficiency or second language proficiency takes a long time. If a child is literate in his or her own native language, it will take about 5 to 7 years to develop proficiency in the second language. If the child is not literate in the first language, in the native language, it will take up to 10 years to develop proficiency in the second language. So do not expect miracles from students, because it really doesn't happen very fast. Social language may happen fast. It may happen as quick as 6 months to a year. but academic level or cognitive academic language proficiency level takes a while. Now these children, as you read in the module readings in chapter 3, when we were talking about immigrant students, immigrant children come to the United States, therefore they come to your classrooms. They have, of course, emotional issues, cultural issues, psychological issues, and of course they have language issues too. And language is the primary means through which we communicate information. Therefore, if they have issues with their language proficiency in English, then they may have issues learning the school content. So SIAP is the approach that we are going to study, and SIAP is a very useful approach for this. Now, probably bilingual education would be a better approach, helping letting children study school content in their native language and then letting them study English, and a gradual increase in learning content in English would be a better way. But those types of resources are not available, so we have to resort to something like SIAP, and SIAP is quite sensible and reasonable. Now there are certain things in SIAP, and I provided a good number of readings about SIAP. You will have a really good understanding of what it includes. Some of the practices, as you will see, like building background knowledge, that's just good common sense for good education. If you're a teacher, you know that building background knowledge just makes sense. Teaching key vocabulary, that makes a lot of sense. If you have been in education, this is common sense to you. This may not be common sense to outsiders. So there are certain things about SIAP that are just good practices for teaching anybody. But there are certain things that I think are quite different, quite innovative, let's say. And I'll talk about a couple of these. For example, if you are teaching based on the SIAP model, and when you have English language learners in your classroom, for your lessons you're going to have your normal objectives, content objectives, but for each lesson you're going to have language objectives also. So through each lesson you're trying to teach content, and at the same time some English language to your English language learners. So when you design your lessons, you keep this in mind all the time. What language skills what language functions can I teach my English language learners today? Can I teach them how to describe something? Can I teach them how to orally repeat something? So when you design your lessons, you keep language objectives in mind. And I have some resources on the module regarding learning language objectives. Let's see what else. Now, you cannot expect students, English language learners, to just sit in the back of the classroom and hope that they will learn if nothing is done. So that's why an approach like SIAP is very useful, because it makes content more accessible, more understandable to students. So you do not necessarily, in fact you do not water down the curriculum. You're not really lowering your standards. You're just taking the content, you're taking the concepts and making them more understandable for your students. Now we have one assignment as part of this module, and the assignment is really built around what I think is innovative about SIAP. As a matter of fact, when I say what I think is innovative, this is a decision that was made by the department. It's just really a collective judgment of a lot of people, a lot of professors. Now the assignment that you're going to do in this module is a SIAP content adaptation assignment. So I will provide, which in fact is already on the course website, you will have a one-page social studies text, and this text talks about early civilizations in the Middle East and how they had to be around big bodies of water and rivers and etc. So you're going to take this one-page text and you're going to do certain things to make it more understandable and accessible for your English language learners. The first thing you're going to do, you will read it first, and after you read it, you're going to come up with 2 content objectives, just like the standards, and then 2 language objectives. two things that you can teach in this lesson that are language related to your English language learners. After you do that, you're going to select 3 or 4 key words as you teach this lesson. What would be 3 or key words that children have to learn? If they don't learn these words, they cannot understand the lesson. After you select these 3-4 words, you're going to provide a definition that you're going to use in the teaching of this vocabulary word, and you're going to make sure that your definition is child-friendly. In fact, it's English language learner friendly. It has to be simple enough for them to understand, but your definition should not actually break the integrity of the definition either. So children need to learn the concept, but it shouldn't be very complicated language-wise. So you're going to select 3 or 4 words. You're going to provide the child-friendly definition, and after that, step by step, you're going to explain what you're going to do to teach these words one by one. So you're going to take vocabulary word 1, here's the definition, and here's what I'm going to do to teach this. And I want you to do it one by one, because you may take a different approach for different words. For example, for a given word, you may use Freire model, where you have a definition, you have an example and non-example, and then for another word, maybe you will simply provide visuals. For a third word, maybe you will just simply provide the definition and ask children to discuss it with their neighbors or something. So you're going to explain how you're going to teach it, and the last thing you're going to do is to actually take that one-page text and actually rewrite it. You're going to rewrite that one-page text, and as you do this, and this is really important, I think this is one of the best things about SIOP. As you do this, you're going to see if there is a sentence that is just too long, you're going to break it down. If there's a paragraph that is too long, you're going to break it down to 3, 4, 5 sentences, whatever. If you find some information that is just absolutely unnecessary, it's not helpful to the kids, you're going to remove that information. If you find a key piece of information, a word or a sentence, maybe you will highlight it, maybe you will underline it to direct students' attention to that phrase or word or sentence. When necessary, you are going to add visuals. So you're going to take this one-page text and you're going to make it a whole lot more understandable for English language learners. And when you add visuals, make sure that the visuals you add will not spoil the flow of the text. So you might want to put your visuals on the side. So this is the assignment. It's kind of a simple assignment, but it's very, very meaningful. Once you go through this practice, and if you use this technique in your teaching when you have English language learners, you are going to see that it's extremely, extremely useful. I had my student teachers in the past take, piece of text from different content areas, and I had them underline information, or I had them highlight important information for their English language learners, and the results were absolutely amazing. So I highly recommend. Let's see. That's the only assignment we have in Module 5, and I want you to keep in mind, Module 5, our last module is for the last week, and our last week is a short week, so it's not going to go from Monday to Sunday. I think we are going to be finished with everything by Thursday or so. So make sure that you start working on this module early on. I'm going to make this available to you along with Module 4, so you will be able to work on 2 modules. Make sure that you work on the assignment early on, and any other module activity we have, like case study or discussions, everything will have to be finished by the end of the semester. So that's not Sunday, that's Thursday, so you will have to respond to the discussions and etc. a little earlier. Let's see. I think this is all I can think of right now, but this is really important, teaching English language learners, because there are more and more immigrants in the United States. There will be more and more children coming to classrooms, with English, that's not enough for academic success. So it will be every teacher's charge to teach these students effectively. And this module is not going to be enough for you to know everything there is to know how to teach English language learners. Just see this as introductory information, and you may have to do either your own research and readings or take extra courses, and we do have courses at Georgia Southern specifically for this reason. But this is an important area, and I can relate to this specifically because I learned English in the United States. It's not my native language. I try my best to speak Southern English, but probably you can tell that I'm not doing a good job. But anyways, because this is my last video, because it's our last module, I also want to say I really enjoyed working with all of you guys, and I wish all of you a wonderful, wonderful summer, and good luck with everything else. So, goodbye.